Good afternoon and welcome. We are Lesley, Tyson, and Sterling Pilette, members of the Worship Associates team here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Reston.
Whether you are on Zoom or here in the church sanctuary, we are so glad that you are with us this afternoon. No matter how old or how young you are, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, however you identify, and whomever you love, know you are welcome here.
We welcome the ancestors to share in today's celebration of Rev Aileen Fitzke's installation as the minister of the UU Church in Reston, with a reading titled appropriately, Welcoming the Ancestors. The ritual of welcoming and honoring ancestors is an ancient spiritual practice found in many cultures and traditions. Thus, we begin this ceremony with paying tribute and expressing gratitude to our ancestors. From our histories, our ancestors call to us, asking, whence we come and how and whither. We are grateful for their gifts, their lessons, their challenge, calling us into accountability and responsibility to fulfill their hopes and aspirations for what they dreamed be ours to do. We call on and invoke our parents, grandparents, aunties, uncles, our siblings from across time and place to be here with us. We call on the early Unitarians and Universalists, lay people and ordained ministers who brought our faith tradition to Virginia and Central East region. We call on ancestors of UU Church in Reston who built, grew, and dreamed this church and this community into being. We call on those who represent peoples of Reston, those who strove to build a beloved community representing diverse cultures and traditions, including the indigenous peoples of different tribes who once lived here and called this land home.
We call upon our activist ancestors, those who struggled for justice, freedom, and liberation of all people, who challenge us to honor the fullness of each and every human being. We especially lift up those who battled the racism and oppression right here in Northern Virginia, which is still alive today. They ask us to join the ongoing struggle to make this place whole. We call upon and honor the beauty of this earth, this particular part of creation that this church ministers in, the beautiful Potomac River and the surrounding mountains of the Shenandoah, our interconnectedness to nature and to the history of the land itself. Now we ask you to call to your mind your own particular ancestors, family roots, spiritual mentors and guides. Each one of us brings into the room our own network of people and places. We have welcomed this great cloud of witnesses to join us for the installation of Rev Aileen Fitzke. Can you feel them? May our ancestors guide us on our way. Can you feel them? May they bless this space and time and the work we are about to do. Please join me in saying, ancestors be with us. Ancestors be with us.
Our opening processional hymn today is number 298, Wake Now, My Senses. The words are in your order of service, so please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing.
Good afternoon. It's a little different than the usual morning greeting, but we're here and for a really, really awesome reason. This church, this wonderful church that we love so well, Unitarian Church in Reston, today is celebrating the installation of our beloved minister who has been with us for almost a year now and has shared her tender and thoughtful ministry with us. And today we celebrate that and install her. So I bring to you these words from Arlen Goff, thresholds. Thresholds, we cross them every day, from room to room, from outside to inside and back again, from here to there, from anywhere to everywhere, from age to age. Each threshold offers an opportunity for change, for renewal, for transformation, from what we were and what we are now to what we can be. In this hour and in this place, we cross a threshold from our day-to-day everydayness into space and time attuned to the other, to the sacred, to the holy, into an awareness of new life pregnant with possibilities. How will we be renewed in this moment? How will we change in this hour? How will we be transformed through the gathering of this beloved community? Come, you longing, thirsty souls. Come, let us worship together.
Today's chalice lighting is Different Yet United by Pat Uribe Lichty. We come from many places, along different paths, bringing different truths. We come with different histories and different realities, and yet we come together as one people, with faith that we can use our differences to heal ourselves and each other, to bring wholeness to a fractured world.
We come seeking to find community, to find acceptance of who we are. In this place, we may find others who are much like us, and others who are much different. May our lit chalice remind us that we are a people taught by different stories, with many voices, but always one people, working for a world where love creates justice and justice gives birth to peace.
Here at UUCR, we have a closely held tradition of singing our covenant together every Sunday. Love is the spirit of this church. The words are in your order of service, and we will remain seated while we sing our covenant together. If you are here today for the very first time, we hope you will accept this song as our blessing to you.
Hello, I am Reverend Sana Said. I use she, her pronouns, and I am your primary contact and congregational life staff for the Central East region of the UUA. Welcome to this joyous and momentous occasion in the life of your congregation. Today we gather with hearts full of gratitude and excitement to formally celebrate the installation of Rev Aileen Fitzke as your new minister. This day marks the culmination of a journey you have undertaken together, a journey of discernment, hope, and anticipation. It is the fruit of your collective efforts, your self-examination, and your aspirations to find a minister who not only meets your needs, but also shares your vision and values. An installation service in Unitarian Universalism is a significant event that formally celebrates the covenantal relationship between a minister and the congregation that has called the minister. As you come together in this sacred space, may you honor the covenantal relationships you have established. This covenant is more than a mere agreement. It is a commitment to journey side by side in a shared ministry. It is a pledge to support one another, to inspire transformation within yourselves and your community, and to live out our Unitarian Universalist values in the wider world. May you all celebrate your readiness to embark on this new chapter with Reverend Aileen, a chapter that holds the potential for profound growth, deeper connections, and transformative justice. As we lift up our voices in joy and gratitude, let this service be a reminder of our shared purpose and our dedication to building a beloved community. May it be so. Blessings to you all on this special day.
The reading now is Nothing is Static by Reverend Manish Mishra Marzetti. The ground shifts, sometimes slowly, sometimes like an earthquake, reminding us that the solidity we often love and seek is an illusion. The crumbling dust of the desert plains, the moist fertility of farmlands, the ending coastline of tidal shores, all are changing. Committees dissolve or are created. Leaders retire or go away. Ministers come and go. Bylaws are amended. New experiences lead to new truths which foster evolution. The natural course of life, always pushing us towards greater understandings of what it means to be human. Everything about our existence points towards change, flexibility, and dynamic recreation. And it's hard because change involves loss. Can we hold the losses well while not holding ourselves back? The ground shifts, sometimes slowly, sometimes like an earthquake. Nothing is static.
Yonder come day, yonder come day, yonder come day. Sun is arising in my soul. Yonder come day, yonder come day, yonder come day. Sun is arising in my soul. Yonder come day, yonder come day, yonder come day. Sun is arising in
Thank you so much for that. I know my soul is singing and dancing. Wonderful. I'll now invite any children or teens who would like to help present a charge, a gift, and a promise to Reverend Aileen. If you'll come forward and line up along here. So Eleanor, Vivian, and then Angeline. Great. So when Reverend Aileen and I talked about the installation, I asked if she'd like a charge from the children, and she was excited to hear from them. And so I talked with them about this charge or the instructions. And the first thing I did when I met with the elementary age group was ask them, what does a minister do? And the first answers were kind of run the church and kind of lead the church. And I think that's actually a very good description of what UU ministers do, isn't it? Yes. Ministers are the spiritual and administrative leaders of a church. And unlike faith communities where a national or international organization assigns leaders, buys buildings, and creates overarching goals for congregations, in Unitarian Universalism, the authority of the minister or the power comes from the members. The members select the settled or long-term minister. They own or rent their buildings, and along with the board, who the members elect, the members determine the mission and goals of the congregation. And then the minister works with the members and staff to meet those goals. And Zia, as a board member, I imagine you have seen a lot about how Reverend Aileen works with the board and the congregation. Isn't that true?
Yes. Sorry. Yes, I have. It's been a great opportunity to see how things work from behind the scenes.
Thank you, Zia. And then, when I asked the children for more details about what a minister does, they said a minister leads rituals and rites of passage, like the children's dedication, weddings, and memorial services. They talk in the service, they teach, and they help people. And they really wanted to point out that they have noticed that Reverend Aileen is very kind, and they appreciate seeing her help people. So they gave me some detailed requests that I'll be implementing in religious education, such as making first aid kits more visible. But with their editorial advisement, we have created a charge that's general and persuasive. And here it is.
We, the church and teens of UUCR, ask you to please be kind and listen.
Help keep everyone safe at UUCR.
Teach us about different religions, cultures, and festivals.
Share lots of different foods so everyone is included.
Help us care for the earth. Help us care for the earth and animals.
Have a good sense of humor. Be willing to be silly and laugh with us.
And to help make church fun and welcoming.
And Reverend Aileen, if you'll come stand with us. Do you accept the charge from the children?
Yes, I do.
Reverend Aileen, we ask much of you, but we would also like to present you with a gift and a promise. First, the gift, which includes our names and fingerprints. Oh, check it out. Fingerprints. And now, our promise to you and to the congregation and ourselves. We commit to help keep the flame of kindness, justice, and joy lit at UUCR. We will bring open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands as we care for our earth and make friendship and peace in our world.
And Reverend Aileen, will you support and honor the children of UU Ruston?
Yes, I will.
Thank you, and thank you. You may now return to your seats or go to... Or you may go to childcare downstairs if you like. And you may go at any time during the service.
Hello, my name is Andrée Comiskey, and I am the chairperson of the worship committee. The 1988 General Assembly established the Living Tradition Fund and requested that ordination and installation services held in member societies include an offering to the fund. Over the years, that request has become a tradition among us. The Living Tradition Fund provides 3 types of support for ministry: need-based scholarships for theological students who are in aspirant or candidate stats in the UUA credentialing program, new minister assistance to reduce the burden of high educational debt and repayment, emergency assistant grants to ministers, religious professionals, other congregational staff, retired ministers, and their loved ones. The generosity of individuals, congregations, and regions helps to strengthen and support our professional ministry by keeping this important resource available. And now during the offering, we will listen to Amazing Grace. Thank you.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now sing God's praise than when we first begun. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Oh, I see.
We now have the sermon by Reverend Susan Browning.
So interesting to sit in the front and not know at all what this might look like. I bring you greetings from the Eastern Shore of Maryland. I serve the congregations in Easton and Chestertown, Maryland, and it is wonderful to be here. So it was August 2020, and I was about 5 months into the pandemic, and I was squirmy and bored enough that I decided to do something new, or at least new for me. I decided to refinish an old dresser. It was my dad's dresser, and my parents had bought this dresser as part of a set. I'm guessing in the 1950s. It was around before I was, and it was sort of an old maple thing, not the highest quality probably. The dresser had moved with our family to the 6 houses of my childhood. The dresser stayed with my dad after my parents divorced. And when Dad needed more care and we sold his townhouse, my husband and I decided, okay, we'll take the dresser. Maybe you have some furniture that has that history. But just to test out the dresser a bit more, my son then took it to college. And then my son used it in a few post-college apartments, and he got married, moved in 2020, and the dresser now back in our garage. Go figure. That empty nest thing is a complete illusion. So this dresser was worn, it was water stained, it was college stained, and it was in rough shape. And yet, as energized as I was about this project, for a minute or two, I was reluctant to try and fix the dresser up. Would I lose something in the change? I took a few before pictures. They tell you to do that, and then I just dove in. I made choices on the color, and I got advice from my brother-in-law on prepping surfaces. I did a decent job on a couple minor repairs, surprising myself. I removed and cleaned off the brass, and I sanded and stained, taking all those more photos. They're available if you'd like to see them afterwards. For me, this is a story of renewal. Ultimately, the wood was the same wood. The shape of the frame and the drawers didn't change. Yet what emerged from the wood was the grain in a fresh way. And it was just a different dresser, a different hue, different sheen. I hadn't made it look like it did in the 1950s, and I hadn't even tried. And there are scars there if you look closely. Yet, it felt refreshed. It was ready to be used in a new space. Renewal. Think about renewal. Both the old and the new are present at the same time. It happens when you restore something, when you replenish something. There's some sense in renewal of possibility, a sense that something might emerge, but you just don't know what it will be. So today, this congregation, the Unitarian Universalist Church in Reston, you are celebrating your shared ministry with the recently called Rev Aileen Fitzke. You are doing so through a time
honed, like this honed practice of installation is what we do to mark the change, sort of like taking a few of those photos when something is going to change. And my bet, I'm taking a guess that this congregation, which was founded over 50 years ago, hopes that you don't just have a spark of some celebration today, though food and there's lots of good things that can happen, but that you want to feel an ongoing sense of renewal in the years to come. It's a reminder today that you are going to be building on a strong foundation. You're going to sand off some rough spots. You're going to create some sort of ways of being that keep your story fresh, and now you're walking with a new partner, with my colleague, Reverend Aileen. But I want you to always remember that renewal is never completely a new start. It has to build on something. The essence of an identity is still there. But when you're in that renewal space, you're trying to be flexible, you're trying to be curious. Earlier, I mentioned to you that my brother-in-law had given me advice on prepping the wood service. And my brother-in-law is an exceptional carpenter and refinisher of furniture and has been for the 40+ years I've known him. But his method, he explained to me, was to sand it some, use some steel wool, and then take some Windex, clean off the dust. But his advice was don't completely strip it down. Basic quote was something like, it takes too long, just get enough off. What I think he was sharing with me is he wanted me to remember to sustain momentum, just to make some decisions and to not stress perfection. I think he knows me pretty darn well. And the project did come out okay, and I've tried a few more since. And I realized that I'm the one, I changed this dresser for now, someone else will likely change it in the future. But what it is that came through for me as I think about renewal is that momentum matters. So how will the UUs of Reston sustain the momentum of today? How will you sustain your energy and your partnership with Reverend Aileen? I think these are important questions. And here's a reality check. The work of ongoing renewal for a congregation is way different, at least. I don't know if it's really harder, but it's different than when you refinish a dresser. There's a lot of common principles that apply, but pretty much if there's not a moving van there, when you put your stuff away at night and you're in the middle of refurnishing a dresser, it's going to be there the next day. Not so much with congregations. Our reading today was Nothing is Static, and I think that paints a much more realistic picture of congregational life. In the reading we hear, everything about our existence points toward change, flexibility, and dynamic recreation. And it's hard because change involves loss, and can we hold those losses well while not holding ourselves back? I think that phrase, dynamic recreation, captures so much. It needs to be a porous environment. You need the old parts loosened up some. Some parts need to be completely unassembled, and then some parts are working fine, and you look at that, sort of like you looked at that dresser, and then you integrate the new with some care, folding it in and keeping your mission and vision in the center. I think when congregations, when we're all doing our best, and I've been part of a number of different congregations over the year, we all do it differently, but we're thinking about new needs, new ideas, new understandings, all sorts of new ways, and we're overlaying that upon something that is there, something that's pretty sturdy. So how do we do this? If we're changing inside, things around us and the world is changing. I think in some ways, that's a blessing. It makes the renewal a little easier because it's not all stuck. You've got change, and change is hard. So it's a couple things that I want to think about when you think about these changes as you move through these next steps. First of all, in congregations, people come and go, and each of your lives is in flux. And this congregation has changed since its beginning. Everybody here that's a member of the congregation or a friend or a visitor, you all entered the congregation at some different point. Everybody here knows a part of the story, but not all of it. You don't share the exact same stories, but you know the stories of laughter and joy that are around. You know of your stories of perseverance and sadness, of conflict, of frustration, all normal parts of congregational life. And as you think about it, your missions and visions have been adopted and changed, and ministers have come and gone. Nothing is static, but this is the blessing. As you change, you are ready for what's new. And to do this, how you do the profound long-term work of welcome, not just the first welcome at the door, but each time you welcome one another when you come, you are building on that story. Tell the stories. It matters as you take on the risks of some new change. But congregations, if it was only as simple as what's right here in the room, what about that world out there? That world is also changing. The world is changing and playing out in news cycles that are just endless. Polarization, some of which I think is real and some of which I think we manufacture in our heads, is pulling apart. And yet, there is goodness and respect and care in so many places in the world. We do the work of congregational life in that midst of so much. Nothing is static, and yet, when we journey together, it's how meaningful action happens. Renewed and renewing happens beyond these walls. And the one other place I just want to mention on change is this is not just any community of folks gathering together. You gather as a Unitarian Universalist congregation. And our faith, this faith that I love, is a faith that expects continual renewal. We routinely renew our faith. It is a living faith. We are designed to be that faith. We come with a sturdy base. It's not that everything will change. We make meaning through reason and experience, and we live our values out in the world. And yet, nothing is static. Our UU faith has the courage to build on that stable frame. We adapt our language. We re-emphasize our values. We reconstruct them. We try new graphics. We try to set some fresh priorities because we need that momentum. We need to stay relevant in the world and for each other. So your loving partnership with Aileen is now the one that you will be unfolding. You will create and recreate a trusting and loving space, and you'll do that work together. And you're going to do all of the above not to make it perfect. You'll do it to make UUCR a loving, heartfelt community that cares for one another and for the world. You'll do it by keeping your story fresh and ever emerging. You'll start seeing a grain that will come through as beauty in unexpected ways. That's how you're going to keep sustaining the momentum. You're going to do it in this world that's a little crazy, but you've chosen Aileen, and Aileen has chosen you. Bill Bryson notes, "It's always quietly thrilling to find yourself looking at the world you know well, but have never seen from such an angle before." That really captures renewal. So my hope for you is that you and Reverend Aileen find thrilling ways together. Sometimes quiet thrills, but jubilant, crazy, take the risks, trust the base. It's all there. And do so in a way that's grounded in a fresh and stable love. This congregation and Reverend Aileen have come to renew one another, to go back and forth. And I trust that you are a community that knows renewal is always needed. May it be so, and blessed be.
Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn 1028, The Fire of Commitment.
Hello, I am Amy Anderson, the chair of the most recent Ministerial Search Committee. Our committee included Denise Kerwin, Randy Newton, Meagan Pitluck-Schmitt, David Okerson, and Amelia Turner. You may recognize some of us from the UUCR board, the choir, or AV Mission Control. We spent about a year working on the search committee. After numerous surveys, cottage meetings, informal discussions, and data crunching, the search committee determined what you, the congregation, wanted in our next settled minister: perfection. So our first task was to disabuse you of the idea that we would find a perfect person. However, we would work hard to find the best fit for our church. Imagine our surprise when an application from a Harvard Divinity School graduate who lived a stone's throw away arrived in our inbox. But it wasn't simply Reverend Aileen's academic credentials and proximity that drew us to her. Her enthusiasm when she talked with us and visited our church was infectious. Her years of pastoral ministry experience and ideas for expanding our pastoral care checked several important boxes on our wish list. Her passion for social justice aligned with our congregation's interest in voting, reproductive and LGBTQ+ rights, racial and economic equality, and environmental concerns. Her empathy and compassion and her ideas for incorporating the children into more church activities certainly did not go unnoticed. As a relatively small church, we need a minister who wears many hats, administrative and financial as well as spiritual. As one of the references said, she is the complete package. We look forward to many fruitful years of cooperation, community, and growth with Reverend Aileen leading us. Thank you, Reverend Aileen, for accepting the call to become our settled minister.
There, I was wondering what you were up to.
Just in case. Oh, you printed it out. Good.
I'm David Okerson, the president of UUCR, and I am very pleased to have the opportunity to conduct this active installation. In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the authority and privilege of calling ministers rests solely with the congregation. No right is more precious to a free congregation than that of choosing its own minister. By that same token, no right is more precious to a UU minister than choosing the congregation they will serve. It is with profound feeling, therefore, that we formally recognize the relationship now existing between the people of the Unitarian Universalist Church in Reston and the Reverend Aileen Fitzke, whom we have freely chosen and who has chosen us. This installation service symbolizes our dedication to new efforts. We affirm by this act the goals toward which we strive and the ideals by which we are sustained and strengthened. We have already recognized and benefited from your calling to the ministry. Now, on this day, we formally install you as our settled minister. Reverend Aileen, are you ready and willing to undertake the sacred commitments of this ministry?
I am honored to be called to this congregation with its valued tradition of support for those who make this their religious home. I vow to serve in a spirit of faith and hope, to serve with love and with joy.
Although we recognize Reverend Aileen Fitzke as our settled minister, the ministry of this church resides with all of us. So, I ask the members of the Unitarian Universalist Church in Reston, are you ready to covenant together in this new shared ministry?
Yes, we are.
Reverend Aileen, we ask of you leadership, insight, guidance, inspirational vision, and to help us grow spiritually and reach our potential as a community of faith. Will you strive to lead us in building a welcoming religious community, appreciative of differences, loving and compassionate of heart, courageous and generous of spirit? Will you laugh with us, sing with us, dream with us? Will you work to call forth that which is best in us?
I will.
Would the members of the Unitarian Universalist Church in Reston, please recite the words of installation. We, the members of the Unitarian Universalist Church in Reston, do hereby install you, Rev Aileen Fitzke, as minister of this congregation and entrust a vital part of its leadership into your hands. We call you to seek the truth and freedom and love, to counsel and minister to us in joy and sorrow, to celebrate the many blessings of life with awe and wonder, to teach and challenge us and our children, and to invite people to experience lives transformed by service and shaped by the pursuit of justice. We pledge to support you and one another with mutual respect, sharing the ministry of this congregation, and offering the full commitment of our spirits, the bond of compassion, and the covenant of truth and love.
With a deep sense of responsibility, I publicly and joyfully make my commitment to the ministry to which you have called me, with profound gratitude to the many who have come before me. As I enter into covenant with you, I promise to serve you and our Unitarian Universalist living tradition to the best of my abilities. May the spirit of love guide our shared ministry.
I invite all those gathered here to rise in spirit and join the members of the Unitarian Universalist Church in Reston in affirming this installation. All rise. We, the gathered congregation of family, friends, and colleagues, recognize and affirm the partnership of this minister and this congregation. We rejoice with you on this occasion and offer you our continuing fellowship and support. May your shared ministry be a blessing to you and to all those whom you serve. We present to you, well, actually we present it to Carl. We present to you this stole as a symbol of our covenant together.
Let us begin with gratitude. Whether you're in the sanctuary in Reston or on Zoom, I invite you to notice with gratitude the place where you are right now. To notice and remember the ecosystem, the web of life of which you are a part. The Unitarian Universalist Church in Reston is nestled into an ecosystem bursting with spring life, the fireflies, the croaks of the gray tree frogs, the young birds getting ready to fledge, the purple cone flowers, the white and pink yarrow, and the pollinators who buzz about them all. For these and for all beings in the web of life that holds us, we offer gratitude. Spirit of life, help us live in right relationship, in reciprocity and gratitude for the land that gives us life, for the land which was holy long before we began to gather in beloved community. Sacred Presence, we ask your blessing for the ministry of this congregation. May the native plant gardens around the sanctuary serve as a daily reminder that like the possum haw and the spiderwort, each of us has a unique, beautiful, and vital part to play in the garden that is the congregation, that is our ministry together. Holy One, empower each member and friend of this congregation to support and love their church and the people and the work that they do. Just as the spring gardens are bursting with life and growth, so may this congregation enjoy a season of growth, not only a profusion of showy blossoms, but growing the deep roots of tradition, the roots of your local context, and growing strong branches and trunks of integrity. May those who have been part of this congregation for many years, and those new folks just joining with you, create new patterns together, patterns of kindness and love, patterns of gratitude and reciprocity. Just as this has been a year of abundant rain and strange new weather, so too in your shared ministry there will be times of rain and unexpected weather. Spirit of love, help our congregations be a place of healing and restoration when the weather is stormy. Remind us when we get discouraged, slogging in the mud, that rain brings new growth and new life. Just as the roses in Aileen's garden are blooming unlike any other year, this moment, this season will also be unlike any other, full of new possibilities and new challenges. Spirit of life, help us discern how you are calling us to serve, as only we can do in this place, in this time, in collaboration with the unique and precious beings alongside us. Through the seasons and cycles of life, may we remember our connection to all beings and know that we are never alone. Spirit, when we lose our way, when we become discouraged, remind us that the web of life supports us. Let us spill over with gratitude for all the gifts that we receive from the web of life, and help us to give back in reciprocity, whatever these seasons may bring. Let us always keep love at the center. Amen.
Reverend Aileen, would you please come be with me? It's good to see you in the flesh.
Yes.
Rather than this little box that I can't determine if you have legs or arms, just the face. Because we are in a support group that has been meeting 5 years now. Every month of ministers that come and nurture each other, listen to each other, journey with each other. And I've had this great privilege to be in that group with you, Reverend Aileen. As Unitarian Universalists, we are very fond of the expression spiritual journey because it captures that sense of discovery that we all seek. Usually, we reluctantly find ourselves on a journey that has already begun. And then we look back to determine the starting point, and there doesn't seem to be one specific place. Everything we've done before seems to have been teaching us and bringing us to where we are, right there. Likewise, when we think we have arrived, we realize that we are merely at a new beginning. A journey requires us to be fully present, to be awake and aware, and to experience every step along the way with our whole being. Reverend Aileen, your ministry has taken you to many places, right? Yeah. Several forks in the road, on scenic routes, and some bumpy roads. And here you are, with this congregation eager to journey with you toward a shared mission and vision. Easier said than done. Shared ministry is more than sharing the workload. It requires you and all of you to listen deeply to your innermost spirit, as well as the needs of those around you, and to share who you are as a minister and as a congregation for the greater good of the community. Now, as ministers, we can get caught up in the rhythm of meetings, Sunday worship details and deadlines, newsletter articles, and the minutia of church life. That's the doing part of ministry. It's important, but it's incomplete if we are not fully invested in the being part of the ministry. Reverend Aileen, my charge to you is to do what the children said. Actually, it's for you to be in your ministry. Let your ministry be in you. Let it reflect who you are at your core. Let it not be where you are on your spiritual journey, but a culmination of the journey itself and all that you have experienced in your life. You're not playing a part or following a set of instructions. You are living your call to ministry in all that you do. Think of those times when you sat with a congregant and you borne witness to their struggles. There was nothing to do but be present and connected through love and empathy. Or when you experienced the core of your being while at a social justice action, completely immersed in the struggle for beloved community. Or when you were with the children here and you followed their lead with an inner joy and a curiosity. That's being in your ministry. And you know what that feels like. And even when something or someone comes along and throws you a thorny problem that you have never tackled before, staying present and aware of what arises in you with no judgment will get you through. There are countless ways that you can be in your ministry so that it feels like a meditation rather than work. As long as you ground yourself and allow yourself to be supported by those who love you, including your colleagues, your ministry will always be you. And all of us who know you know that that is beautiful. Now, I know you're fond of gardening. We just heard this beautiful prayer about the plants that are here and freshening our days. And you've told me that your garden is your happy place, where you can transcend the doing and just be in total harmony with the earth. Well, that's ministry to yourself. And it's probably the most important ministry that you can offer because it ripples out and infuses all that you are and everyone whom you meet. And that's not a luxury, it's essential. I have been the recipient of your ministry on many occasions, just by being in your presence and knowing that you see me for who I am. We have shared many belly laughs and heard each other's deepest concerns. That's shared ministry at its core. And it comes from deep within you when you transform your to-do list to a to-be list. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you do you, if you be you in the service of others, you will always be and do your best. May it be so.
Perhaps you've picked up on a theme threaded through each of the readings and comments that have been made this afternoon. Not just the monthly theme of renewal, but the theme of shared ministry. This afternoon, as we celebrate the ritual of installation, we recognize that Unitarian Universalists place a high value on shared ministry. We aren't the only faith tradition that does so. I'm not even sure that we are the most vocal about it. However, I do believe that even if we are being more explicit about sharing ministry now in the 21st century, it has always been a part of our faith practices. We are a tradition that uses congregational polity or self-governance as our organizational structure. And because we are a faith tradition, that means that our congregations are not like corporations, but rather our communities. Our leaders and our member volunteers are routinely sharing in the ministry of this church community. So it should be no surprise, then, that you have a huge role to play in the success of this ministry we are celebrating today through the rite of officially installing the Rev Aileen Fitzke as the minister of this congregation. I think a good place to start my charge to the members and friends of the Unitarian Universalist Church in Reston, and also including all of the colleagues, friends, and family members of Reverend Aileen, who have come together today to mark this auspicious occasion, is in lifting up the congregation's mission, vision, and covenant. Quoting directly from UUCR's website, where it states, the Unitarian Universalist Church in Reston has a rich heritage as a progressive, vibrant, and active congregation, serving the intellectual and spiritual needs of our community. Our mission, the mission of this church, is to be an inclusive, ethical, and spiritual community in which we strive to live our values and make the world a better place. UUCR vision. UUCR vision is our 21st century beloved spiritual home, advancing equity and justice in our congregation and our community. Our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another in fellowship. UUCR's mission, vision, and covenant describe an embodied faith, a faith made real, whole, and strong through our practice of UU ideals, our principles and purposes, our values and covenant. I call upon each and every one of us to renew our promises to live as ethically inclusive spiritual people, to advance equity and justice in every way possible through our shared ministry activities. I also call upon each of us, each and every one of us, to always bear in mind that our shared ministry is a relational endeavor. No matter what we are engaged in, we must put the relationships we have with those whom we are serving and those with whom we are collaborating in service at the forefront of our efforts and endeavors. Specifically, I call upon the UU Church in Reston to live in right relationship with each other, and that includes the living in right relationship with the minister you called to be your settled minister, the Reverend Aileen Fitzke. You've heard the charge to the minister given by Reverend Doug McCusker. The covenant, the promise of living in right relationship, is not a one-way street. Right relationship must be embodied by all persons involved in the relationship. Being in right relationship is a commitment to holding each other accountable, but gently. This afternoon, I charge the Unitarian Universalist Church in Reston, all of us gathered here on the occasion of Reverend Aileen's installation as your minister, to renew your covenantal pledge to be always striving to be in right relationship. Renew your engagement in shared ministry with each other, and especially in shared ministry with Reverend Aileen Fitzke. Renew your commitment to living in beloved community this afternoon and each and every day that lies ahead. Amen. Blessed be, and namaste.
choir is sitting down, I would just like to take this brief moment to thank our guest musicians, including Diana Wensley on the trumpet. Thank you so much for being here. And our very own in-house musicians, Doug Sedgwick and Jonathon Reavill. Thank you.
Well, at last you get me. So I get to do the benediction. I quote from my esteemed colleague, Reverend Sue Browning, "Renewal is what happens when you restore and replenish." Beginnings, transitions, changes, they are not meant to usurp, but to refresh, to refinish, to renew, to build on a history of hard work, of dedication, of commitment. We are partners in this work to build a place of joy and justice, pluralism and peace, reason and reflection, tradition and transformation. We are tied together, as Dr. King once wrote, in a network of mutuality. Interdependent, we know that what affects one of us affects all of us. And so we work together for collective liberation, joined together, embraced by, and in the spirit of love. I know together we are up for this challenge. Amen, and blessed be. And finally, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of hope and truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.